Tulane was kind of always on my radar screen for several reasons. I'd read all of Jane Bertrand's work, when I was a graduate student on family planning, and Carl Kendall also had gotten on my radar screen for his work in anthropology, especially in Central America. And as I got interested in immigration, Carl Bankston in the sociology department, was doing really innovative and path-breaking work on immigration, focusing on the Vietnamese. Carl and Jane contacted me, which was very flattering, and didn't really have to think very long at all that Tulane could be a really good place for me. And so my girlfriend at the time, wife now, Becky, was a journalist at the Houston Chronicle, and she had the Times-Picayune kind of on her radar screen for a period of time too. And so when these opportunities came open, we came and loved the place and had a really good run. She thought she might want to go to a bigger paper. I thought that I might want to go to a bigger university, maybe doing more with more of a focus on Asia. So we're just kind of starting to look around when Katrina hit. And when that happened, the newspaper went from being a very good newspaper to a great newspaper. I mean, they went to Pulitzers, lots of other prizes. And then things here at Tulane also became, very interesting. And I, as a demographer, got really interested in who's going to come back to this place, and we both realized that it was going to be too interesting a story to pass by. And so we decided we weren't going anywhere, and here we are, 24 years later. Hiring Michael Fitz made Provost Robin Foreman possible. Hiring Robin Foreman made Thomas Levis possible. Hiring Thomas Levis made a whole new leadership team on the 24th floor for all the departments possible. And so you make this one change at the top, and he's going to have ideas for the whole university, but at each stage below, it kind of makes possible all sorts of things that weren't before. And I think it's positioned us to really move into the top 3 or 4 schools of public health. So my postdocs and doctoral students are working at major research universities, the World Bank, the UN, a major public health institute, state governments, and consultants, and they're just, it makes me so proud to see the incredible work that they're doing, and I like to think that I had a small role in that. So in terms of high points that were amazing at Tulane, I'd have to say that it's the day of dissertation defense for my 9 doctoral students. They're all so fantastic. Of course, I know what the projects are going to be about. I've been working with them for 4 or 5 years on it. But when the day comes and they actually present it, they're so professional. They answer difficult questions so well. It takes my breath away. It makes me teary-eyed. Another thing that I'll miss is my colleagues out in the Vietnamese community. They've adopted me, because I have such passion for the community and for all things Vietnam, and I get a lot of things wrong. I've annoyed them, more than once. I can be really clumsy, but I think they really appreciate the fact that I've invested a lot of time and energy both in Vietnamese language and certainly in studies of Vietnam and Vietnamese Americans. And I'm just so interested in them that they tolerate me, and they kind of take me, they tutor me, in all things, in all things Vietnam. And they've been so kind and so nice and so generous with their time, with me, that I'll miss working with them a lot. I won't miss them because I'll be out there all the time, but I've so enjoyed having them as partners in my research for the whole 24 years that I've been here. First thing is, I'm going to lose the rest of my COVID 30. That's the 30 pounds that I put on over COVID. I've lost half of it. I think the second half is going to be a lot harder than the first half. So that's got to come first before some of these other things. Then I'm going to have some extended visit with family and friends that I've neglected for a long time because I've been so busy. I don't mean a weekend, but I mean maybe a week or 2 or 3. I keep teasing my friends. Think Cousin Eddie in Christmas Vacation. Watch out, that's me in the front yard.
We're pretty well set up there in the RV. It's a little tight, but we didn't come to impose.
I've loved it here. I've loved all of it. I mean, some days are better than others. Some colleagues are more reasonable, than others, but I learned, and same for students. Some students are also more pleasant to interact with than others, but I've learned from all of them. You know, I learned so much. I feel really lucky to have been surrounded by people who are so smart and motivated and wanting to make a difference. And almost every conversation, certainly every class, I come out of it knowing something new, you know, that I didn't know before, or questioning something that I thought that I knew that ends up, you know, not being so sure about it after all.